Just a bit of an introduction. My name is Andrew Soto. I am currently a data dissemination specialist with the Data Dissemination and Training Branch at the U.S. Census Bureau. Previously, I was with the Census Bureau as a partnership specialist during the 2020 census throughout Los Angeles County. Through my current role, it is my goal to help stakeholders in Central and Southern and Northern California engage census data and data tools to highlight and address critical issues. The U.S. Census Bureau is the federal government's largest statistical agency. It is actually the largest of 17 primary federal government statistical agencies. While we are best known for the decennial census, or census of population and housing, that occurs every 10 years, what many do not know is that the Census Bureau conducts more than 100 surveys every year, including the decennial, which again, every 10 years, and the American Community Survey, which is collected every month of the year, as well as the Economic Survey, which is known as a quinquennial survey, which is collected every 5 years in reference years ending in 2 and 7. What most people don't realize is that the Census Bureau is actually responsible for all major economic indicators, such as the Consumer Price Index, unemployment rates, housing, construction starts, crime, health statistics. The reason you don't hear about that, so to speak, is because we're actually the agency that collects it, and then that data is turned over to respective federal agencies, who then crunch the numbers and release the data that we all come to love and know. We have a network of field representatives that collect data for over these 100 surveys and are in the field knocking on doors all 12 months of the year. The Census Bureau's mission is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality data about its people and the economy, and our goal is to provide the best combination of timeliness, significance, quality, and cost for the data we collect and the services that we provide. The first data I want to highlight, is the American Community Survey. The ACS is on the leading edge of survey design, continuous improvement, and data quality. It is the nation's most current, reliable, and accessible data source for local statistics on critical planning topics. The survey continuously samples 3.5 million addresses each year to produce social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates on an annual basis. The data is used to distribute more than $675 billion of federal government spending each year. Our estimates cover more than 40 topics and support more than 300 known federal uses and countless non-federal uses. Examples of some: for the USDA, the National School Lunch Program, for the Department of Health and Human Services, Medi-Cal and Medicare and Head Start programs, for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Community Development block grants, and Public Housing Capital Funds, for the Department of Transportation, Highway Planning, and Construction. There are 3 types of annual data releases: the 1-year and 5-year period data sets, as well as 1-year supplemental estimates. The content collected by the ACS can be grouped into 4 main types of characteristics: social, demographic, economic, and housing. Social characteristics include topics such as education, marital status, fertility, veteran status, disability status, and place of birth. Economic characteristics collected include topics such as employment status, income, commuting to work, occupation, industry, and health insurance. Housing characteristics include tenure, information about occupancy, the structure itself, home value, housing costs, and that is inclusive of mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, as well as plumbing and kitchen facilities. The ACS also collects the basic demographic characteristics collected on the decennial, such as sex, age, race, and Hispanic origin. As aforementioned, each question on the ACS is used for federal and state government programs. These topics are used to produce more than 1,000 tables for local communities that lead to a rough 11 billion estimates each year. The ACS provides data for more geographies on an annual basis than any other household survey. There are over 13,000 geographies for the 1-year estimates, 15,000 for the 1-year supplemental, and 776,000 geographies for the 5-year estimates. Understanding census geography is not always as simple as it would seem. The traditional methods for dividing up geography in the United States that most people are familiar with includes states, counties, and zip codes. However, the census uses its own methods and terminology for geography as well, the most prominent of which many of you may know as the census tract. Sectors such as banking and real estate use census tract data to inform their business decisions. The image on the slide shows some of the geographies for which the ACS data is produced and the relationship between them. As you can see, lower geographic areas fit neatly within the larger areas directly connected in the lines. For example, school, congressional, and state legislative districts fit neatly within states and do not cross state boundaries. However, they may cross boundaries of counties or metropolitan areas. In this slide, you can also see the lowest level of census geography, known as the census block. The second census survey I'd like to speak on is the economic census. The economic census provides a benchmark for every other economic survey and serves as the cornerstone of the United States economic statistics. It provides key source data for the gross domestic product, national income, and product accounts, the producer price index, and other indicators of economic performance. It offers information on business location, the workforce, and trillions of dollars of sales by product and service type. Excuse me. The Census Bureau conducts the economic census, the official measure of the nation's business and economy, every 5 years, again, for the reference years ending in 2 and 7. Businesses are required by law to respond, and as with all data it collects, is completely confidential. The Census Bureau is required by law to keep all this information that could be used to identify an individual business secure. The economic census gathered in 2022 year-end figures is on close to 8.2 million employer business establishments, with approximately 4.2 million coming from direct data collection and administrative records being used for the remainder. So now that I've gone over the basics of the ACS, variables, and geographies, let me highlight the difference between the ACS and economic programs. The data from the ACS is collected from households and not at an establishment level. ACS is categorized by industry, by census industry codes, whereas the economic program uses the NAICS identification. NAICS is based off establishment surveys, so we're not based off of where people work, but where people live. And thus, we created our own code known as the Census Industry Code. There's also differences in geography. The economic survey statistical boundaries are known as ZICDAs, or the zip code tabulation area, often comporting to the U.S. Postal Service's zip code geography. What if you're looking for a tribal business? When you're looking at economic programs, tribal businesses are denoted, the establishment itself, as tribal. As with the ACS, you're going to be looking at the tribal area as a geographic area boundary. There's also public establishments. So if someone's looking to create a business to help support a local government, the economic programs will show that data based off the establishment itself and the local and state government. Again, for the ACS, when you're looking at geographic area, it's not a place. With that, I'd like to engage those on the call to please open up a browser, make this a bit interactive. I would like to show everyone, let me step out and see who's on the chat. Didi and Jason and Carlos, if you would please open up your web browser and go to data.census.gov, data.census.gov. I'm going to click through, I'm going to click this screen and open up a new screen. If you just wait 1 second while I open this. And if possible, for those willing to come off mute, just to confirm that you're able to see this screen that I am sharing?
Yeah, this is Jason. I can see the screen and it's actively saying try searching for commute in all counties in Delaware in
All right,
2017.
I can see
Okay,
that.
perfect.
This
I
is
just
Dee.
want to,
I can see it as well. Thank you.
okay, so if you want to just hop in here, and I'm not sure where everyone is located, but I just want to perhaps put your city or your state or whatever census data, whatever level of geography you think census data. We'll first just do a broad sweep just so I could show a demographic profile. I'll use an example for myself. I am in the state of California. Oftentimes, yesterday I had a call with the Department of Aging, and a lot of their work, obviously, for the older population, they often allocate resources down to the county level. So what I'm going to do is oftentimes I actually skip this query bar and I go into the advanced search. And again, this is our flagship data product. I refer to as DCG. It's data.census.gov. It is where we house the ACS data and Census 2020 decennial data. So I'm just going to give an example of what I showed yesterday, because what they were looking for under topics. So again, on this sidebar, you can either begin a geography or topic, but I'm going to start at topics, populations and people. I'm going to select older population. I'm going to go back up to the county in California. Please let me know if I'm going too quickly. Los Angeles County. I'm going to search. It's on the bottom right of the screen. And immediately you can either click, it'll inform you that 15.2% of the population in Los Angeles County is coming from the 2022 ACS one-year estimates. But over here on the right, you can click this image, and what it's going to do for the county is it's going to produce this profile, this data profile. And as you scroll through, you can start seeing what I think most people ask for, which is everything from population estimates to median household income, employment. As you scroll down, it will provide a population pyramid. You can see the bar populates up here. You see all these social economic characteristics, economic income and poverty, education, employment, housing, health, business and economy, living arrangements, race and ethnicity. So this is just showing you at the county level. You can do this for your respective city or zip code. Again, I would recommend it's a ZICTA, so it would be a ZCTA, because again, the Census Bureau does not use zip codes, but I know some people are interested in oftentimes using their zip, but I remind those, for example, if I were to do that, I would go to the ZICTA if you prefer to have a profile done at the zip level. This can also be done at the census tract level, but it's not for this presentation. But if I'm not sure where y'all are working and with whom, so if you would like, we could set up, feel free to reach out after this presentation and I can do a walkthrough where we can highlight data at the tract level through a mapping function I will show you. I apologize if it gets laggy because I'm on a VPN on this laptop that goes to Washington, D.C. and bounces back to the West Coast. But that's why if any of you are in here and scrolling through, it's probably populating faster than it is for me. Here again is that older population that they were interested in, that they actually use for federal Title III reporting so that they can receive funding from the federal government and then distribute that to the counties. And I was able to demonstrate to them kind of a heat map of where this population is at the tract level within the county. So if any of you have any questions, or if it comes to mind a data set or any kind of census data or data that any of you have been used for your work, please let me know. We could probably do a walkthrough live. We have data again on the uninsured. Oftentimes you can use this if you apply to federal grants. Oftentimes they ask qualitative and quantitative questions when you're applying to federal grants, trying to find out plethora of this information. Scroll down. let me go back to the main page. Again, go back to advanced search. I typically always just go, that's just my hint and tip to all of you, is just to use the advanced search, because then you can just filter. You can add filters if you're interested in health insurance or disability. Now let's click health insurance. I went back and reset, by the way, if I'm going too fast. I have one filter here for health insurance. I'll go to the state of California. We'll go one level up to the state of California. Going to click search again. And you can see here that it produced 87 relevant tables that contain this data, which is for health insurance that we gathered. Here's the universe, the American Community Survey. If you click this plus, let's say you wanted to start comparing years, I would always recommend never mix up a 1 to 5 year estimate. 5 to 5 is what's required. If any of you are ever comparing or have questions in comparing data sets, obviously that's more of a statistical analysis. So please reach out, and I can provide some technical guidance on that. But for now, let's just do a graze over the top. Let's just go to the most recent 1 year, which is selected characteristics, this S2701 of health insurance coverage. Here's this chevron here that's bouncing, these arrows. I'm going to collapse this just to make it easier to read. I'm also going to collapse the margin of error. Oftentimes academics are the only ones interested in that, but you will have a larger margin of error for the smaller sample. Here you can see for the state of California, the civilian non-institutionalized population, we have an estimate of 38,548,000 that live in California, and the insured population, an estimate and a percent insured, and you still have roughly 2.5 million Californians that are uninsured. And you can see here it breaks it down by age, by sex, by race and ethnicity, by living arrangements, activity, by disability status, by educational attainment, by employment status, by work experience, by income, by ratio of income to poverty. This can be downloaded in Excel up here on the tab, CSV, zip. You can cite this. I would screen grab this if this is something that you would want. Unfortunately, there's no way at that moment. This is something we hear back on feedback, that if this could be a JPEG of some sort, just to be able to attach somewhere. Here you could, go into another year. You could start pulling this on Excel and creating trends. And here again is a mapping function. But again, since I'm not at the track level, I won't show that, but we do have a map tool where we can highlight where they are in a particular geography. If any of you ever want to know how we define or ask a question, there's this notes tab here, and you can dig into the technical documentation and the subject definitions of what we're asking. And again, all of the questions that are asked by the Census Bureau are required by law to be used for federal purposes. So let me go back. And again, this is just one table. In descending order is typically what you'll see kind of the most relevant, but sometimes this won't answer. Maybe you'll have to dig into some of these other tables. If you ever have problems finding any data, feel free to reach out to me. Again, here's of the uninsured. Here's the 2022 ACS. These came out rather recently. And so this is of the uninsured. It also is breaking out similar data where they were 1 year ago, same house, same county, same state. Class of worker, where they work, what type of industry for the uninsured, what type of occupation. Here's their earnings. Again, household income, ratio of income to poverty, breaks it out in larger, stratifies it even into different levels than the other table. And that's just giving an example of that particular topic. Of course, as I was mentioning before, there's over 40 topics that the ACS alone captures. Let's go back to some topics. You can see here, it can, you can have a deep dive into business and the economy, education, school enrollment, educational attainment, employment characteristics, living arrangements, government finances, again, under health, disability, fertility, health, and health insurance. Under housing, you can start seeing home ownership rate, housing units, breaks it down even further to subtopics. Under income and poverty, population estimates. And so this tool, DCG again, data.census.gov, again, please bookmark it, is pulling data from these surveys. Eventually, I think we're trying to silo and house most of our data in this tool. We still have some other surveys that have not come online yet, but again, the ACS is done on a 1-year basis and the decennial every 10 years. I think, again, most people are most familiar. You can also go to the survey if any of you use particular surveys or require particular surveys to report. And again, this goes back by years. And if you scroll down, you can see, again, probably from most of those from a business background, you can also pull from some of these codes to inform your work. So with that, if any of you are still unmuted or would like to let me know how census data or how you could see census data informing your work.
I can talk to that. I think this is really helpful. I appreciate it, Andrew. A lot of times when we apply or respond to requests for proposals,
Mm-hmm.
we have to demonstrate the need of the community. And
Mm-hmm.
so this kind of data can help us really pinpoint demographics in specific
Mm-hmm.
areas of the state, or particularly Los Angeles County in our case, to justify the need for specific kinds of services.
Exactly. Yeah, I try and use the phrase, data-informed decision-making and just data-informed, an approach to the work to absolutely show, demonstrate need and also just appropriately allocate resources, in a productive and the best manner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
Let me see what else I had here. I'm going to hop back to, and again, if any of you, this is just a brief demonstration of these tools. We have other tools. We have custom tabulations. If you're not able to find a table here or data here, we have a tool called MDAT, and that derives from our geographic level around PUMAs, which is the public use microdata access. So if you are unable to find data here, feel free to reach out. My contact will be at the end of this presentation. But again, if you're ever needing a walkthrough or a data workshop for your organization or any stakeholders you work with, please let me know. Obviously, I work with the DDTB. Our goal here is to disseminate this information and have people be aware of this work. I do want to do some plugs for the Bureau. Please sign up at the census.gov site at the very bottom of the homepage to receive updates the main page of the census.gov. I'm going to put in the DDTBs. I'm with Census Academy. We do oftentimes weekly. Let me see if I can put this here into the chat. Census Academy listserv. This is our listserv. You can sign up for some of the data gems we release, and oftentimes we do webinars. There's one happening today. Let me just, we often do courses. If you don't have the time to attend one of the upcoming webinars, they're always recorded. This one's happening today, Eastern time, be aware. So this one's happening, and this one's to show on microdata, as I would previously referenced on diversity, equity, and inclusion data. All of these are archived, but usually will take about a few weeks for them to provide the video, the uploaded video and PowerPoint. You have a few coming up. I'll just go back and insert this. This is just our sites. Please bookmark this. Census Academy site, Census Academy. And one last thing I will insert are just some of the other tools that I won't be covering during this session, but that I think are valuable. And if you ever need to walk through any of them, but if you're ever interested, please reach out. These are our data equity tools. These community resilience estimates have been used a lot lately. Obviously, we've been facing a lot of issues around climate change, so this has been incredibly helpful. This is kind of merging FEMA data with Census Bureau data through the Emergency Management Hub. Quick Facts is also a really great tool other than DCG. It's a little bit simpler, so I'll just include that here really quickly. That I think is great for grant writers. So you don't have to be scouring for this information. You just get it done. Produces the data quickly. If you don't need to be going digging into the tables. But if, it depends on people's comfortability with the tool. But this is also a great tool for nonprofits, for philanthropy, for grants. I think another great tool for those of you who would be applying for any grants is this narrative profile that derives from the ACS. So let me put that in here. And I believe, was it Jason? I believe it was, or Carlos, that was applying to RFPs. This is a great tool. The narrative profiles.
Yeah, that's great. I've never seen this, so I'll check out the narrative profiles.
So that's you can see it on my screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure everybody can see this. So this is a great tool. It is just producing all of the data instead of having to go scour for it. It's just a one-stop shop.
Well,
And you can just screen grab this, use a screen grabber tool. If you need to insert this, or just it sources the data. Information about commute, income, poverty and government programs, health insurance population. So similar to that other DCG, but just a different tool. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. 1 second. So with that, another plug. This came from headquarters. They're letting us know that we are currently hiring. Are you looking for ways to make an impact in your community? The U.S. Census Bureau is currently hiring. Let me click through as I shared that because I actually wanted to show this video. One second. There we go.
People, businesses, and government use census data to make informed decisions on matters such as economics, education, agriculture, health, housing, and transportation. The roads we travel, public schools, the hospitals we live are built based on Census Bureau data. At the core of census data is our field representative, whose job it is to interview local residents and collect information. This ensures that the local community is included as the voice of the nation. Our most successful field representatives are customer service oriented, enjoy meeting and speaking to new people, are self-motivated to meet goals, and are comfortable operating basic technology. Field representatives are empowered employees who usually work part-time with field based on location. To complete a survey of your respondents' home, you must be able to climb stairs, carry a laptop, and other necessary supplies. Field representatives work in neighborhoods of varying economic status throughout the country. They need to become working after bodies in different other countries. In most cases, survey interviews require working a combination of day, evening, and weekend hours. Most people are told to answer questions. Our new field representatives are trained to collect data and use best practices for successful engaging with survey final customers, including those who may be reluctant to give their time and personal information similar to them. After training, each field representative is assigned a field supervisor who learns and develops the staff needed for success. If you are a U.S. citizen, at least 18 years old, you are allowed to submit information for private background investigation. Encourage you to apply today.
Do you feel like you don't speak enough English?
Second.
Hey, Andrew. Did you have any questions? I see Jason's on here.
Yeah, no questions. This is really helpful.
Brian, are you able to hear me? Jason?
Yes, your audio is on.
Yeah.
Okay. I will just leave everyone with this final note that the Data Dissemination Training Branch offers wonderful opportunities to continue your learning experience. At census.gov/academy, learn how to access and use Census Bureau data your way through data gem videos, in-depth courses, webinars, and tutorials. Census Academy allows you to search by topic, which allows you to learn at your own pace. In addition to how-to videos, the webinars offer comprehensive look into various data tools and surveys. Either way, we're here to help and look forward to collaborate and inform your work with census data. And with that, just leave you my contact information. If you ever want a presentation for yourself or a deeper dive into data or for your stakeholders, please reach out. My contact information is there, andrew.d.soto@census.gov.